here for ShiauC is they take the set and they just go, right, ShiauC, you're kind of opting out of the laning phase. We're just going to use you for team fights instead. Zoom, though, going to get his hands on the Lee Sin. He's been crazy strong. The last time we saw this pick from him, he's only got his hands on it once, but looks super good. Akali, I actually just assume is banned at this stage. I am really surprised that actually Akali made it through the draft phase. If I'm Ultra Prime, I take the Sett, I take the Akali. Like, I do not, under any circumstances, want to see that going across to JDG.
Yeah, no way. I mean, even though Yagao, someone would look at it as like, oh, it's only Yagao, it's fine. Just remember that this guy's already played the Akali. Excuse me. He has a wide champion pool and is really showing at this split. So Ultra Prime, give it Dagda. They're like, hey, we want the setup instead.
So to give you an idea, Akali currently right now, over the 19 games that she's been played, has a 72% win rate in the mid lane. She is unbelievably strong right now. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see it picked up here for Yagao. You're able to kind of just farm your way through the early laning phase with that free footwork, and then when you get to the later portion of the game, you're absolutely insane. And even if you wanted to, you could give that up towards Zoom on the top side, but looks like we're just going to pass the baton back and forth, but maybe neither team wanting to opt into it.
Yeah, Loken on the Varus here, game number 3. Dagda, while I'm looking at champion pool and while Ultra Prime picked their third pick, I just want to put forward that Yagao and Zoom have played 10 and 11 champions respectively. As Smlz doing a bit of a classic. Dagda, he loved this champion and always has, even out of meta. Smlz will continue to pull this forward. And it's funny going against JDG where Loken's usually the setup, the utility AD carry. Smlz this time around is going to be playing that on the Jhin.
And it's Loken who has kind of brought this Jhin counter into the Varus to the forefront, right? He's been the main proponent for it, but Smlz is going to be perfectly happy to play that. It'll be the third time we see Smlz play this Jhin pick this split. A lot of long-range engage, great for lane, kind of just outperforms the Varus in a lot of what Varus likes to do, especially when you get that curtain call for team fights. Can set up very well for ZS on the Sett, Hacker with this Rumble. I'm curious to see, though, what we get from ShiauC here in this mid lane, because you kind of want to facilitate a Jhin pick with a substantial amount of damage coming through from your mid lane, just because you end up in a situation where you're lacking quite a bit of that damage because the Jhin is opting in for the curtain call from the back line.
I guess my question is whether you want to put AP with AP jungle, right? ShiauC, it's been the Orianna, it's been the Rise. We know through the laning phase as well, you know, the ability to just to survive, farm it out, build up to your scaling. Could be quite important, so
I think we could see a Diego.
Ooh, well that's banned, Dagda. But you're right. You're 100% right. That would have been the direction. Right. But no. But alongside the Gwen, right? Again, I want to bring up the point. 10 unique champions for Zoom. 4 on the Gwen, his most played. 11 on Yagao. And that means he can pick up anything here in this next phase. So we get the Akali band in the end, and there you go. ShiauC, the earlier LeBlanc band now makes sense. We have a lot of control and a lot of wombo built up already for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the name of the game, is trying to use these ultimates in these team fights to dismantle the likes of this Varus, hell, even the Diana and these kind of things. But I'm a little bit worried. I think their mid-jungle 2v2 is a little bit lacking, as you said. Double AP gives a lot of help over towards the likes of the Lee Sin, who can take the magic resist runes, opt in towards something like a Merc Threads early if he really wants to. But just the amount of pressure that can come through from Yagao and Kanavi versus something like the Rumble Orianna means that you're kind of waiting on 6 both sides, but level 6 for JDG is significantly stronger. So I think for JDG, they're going to be pretty happy with the way that this draft has gone thus far. Even taking the Camille now for Zoom in the top lane gives them that late game scaling, and leans into the fact that Zoom has been the strongest portion of JDG for the entire year.
And Dagda, as that Alistar gets locked in, I'll bring you back to JDG. Remember how I told you they had unique champions? None of them have played Camille, of course, so Zoom's going to add champion number 11. Yagao has not played Lee Sin mid yet, so this is champion number 12. The one thing I can say about JDG is the solo laners are really bringing those flexes to the forefront, really playing around with their champion pool. That's quickly becoming a champion ocean, much like we've talked about people like Doinby. Who else am I thinking in the mid lane? I've already run out of people. Rookie in the past as well, even Knight. So good to see that Yagao's using flexibility and that Zoom is willing to play these side lanes, Dagda, because Camille is so good at controlling her lane, especially if she builds up momentum and gets a snowball.
I do agree, but also like not being able to pick up the Akali, I think kind of shows that, hey look, there's still pockets of air in that ocean where you're not quite able to pick up some of the really strong ones. Now, again, a lot of teams will kind of go, all right, well, if Akali's going to be banned 24/7, what's the point in practicing with Akali? So it could be a case of JDG aren't as comfortable with the Akali and they just haven't been practicing with it. So maybe they don't want to opt into it because of that direction, but certainly I think kind of you can still see power picks being lost to these bans where they could have been picked up. Either way though, I still like this draft for JDG. I think they're super happy with the strong solo lanes that they can play through. Look to try and power Kanavi into a position where he can try and carry on this on the Diana, and then you've still got the poke Varus from that bottom side, lending a lot of CC and follow-up damage across kind of the own wombo combo that JDG have. Whereas when you look across at Ultra Prime, you can look at it there. I mean, massive team fight, very strong combo between all the ultimates on that top half of the map.
If you can weave through as the Orianna, the Jhin, and kind of play around the river, play around the space where we see these fights, you're still going to have a lot of damage output. So I'm excited for this one, Dagda. We move back to Shanghai. JDG versus Ultra Prime. You know, this one won't be as cut and dry in my opinion. I'm expecting blood. I'm expecting shenanigans. And we do have funner drafts to talk about, right? Fun is not a word, so I apologize. It's already the first slap on the wrist. But I want to talk about, as we get into this game, with Zoom summoner choice here without the flash, going for the Ignite teleport, playing for the lane state, that Kanavi always plays towards Zoom anyway. That's what we know about JDG, that he looks towards top and even the solo lane Yagao, depending on lane state itself. So this plays into, to use that word a third time, how Kanavi wants to look at this game as... Oh, we have a lane swap. ShiauC's top Orianna. He's been watching Xiao at the start of 2021 spring.
So this wasn't what I expected. I mean, we kind of touched on it. You actually brought up this, Derek. It's the double AP mid jungle, right? You don't really want to see that too much. So now Yagao has more than likely opted into magic resist runes in towards something like the Sett. You can see he's going to be pounding on him in this game. Nice. I'm actually looking at the bottom left here. Yeah, he opted into the magic resist runes. So for Yagao, he's in a pretty bad spot here. Now you've got a much stronger 2v2 jungle for Ultra Prime over their opponents, and something they can certainly look to try and play through. Now, ShiauC though needs to keep himself safe. Orianna doesn't like these extended lanes because she leaves herself quite vulnerable, especially if you can land that CC from Zoom. Kanavi being able to chase them down. You can already see the problem.
Oh my god, already Ignite! Solo kill for Zoom. Dagda, your timing could not have been better.
And that's the problem. Like, in a long lane like that, Orianna doesn't have that safety. Zoom hits level 2, hook shot straight in towards the Ignite, and ShiauC's out of there.
And he's going to stick to it. ShiauC TPs to the top lane, has to catch the wave, and that is what we call a disaster to start off. The Camille, which is a big condition for JDG here in this game, feels like it's off already to the Rolling Thunder. And we'll look again, because did Zoom just hit 2 first?
Yeah, Zoom just hits 2 first, so ShiauC misplaying on the wave a little bit, but I mean, this is the problem, right? Yeah, the flash was way too late. And this is the thing, right? In this lane, now you just double down on it here. Zoom already going to have a lead. He's going to be able to get a really nice buy up for himself. Honestly, probably pushes in this wave, doesn't even have to teleport in. Can just walk back to lane and keep his play for things like Dragon as Yagao.
They both have sustain
doing
in
a
this
ShiauC
lane.
on us.
Yeah, he is. It feels like Yagao is going to be okay, though. Uses a pot. ShiauC and Hacker roaming up to the mid lane, but look at Yagao playing up towards the top side of this brush where Kanavi is. The level 4 is the flash face breaker over the Sonic Wave. Yagao, though, safeguards there, and ShiauC doesn't get it. Meanwhile, Kanavi going to skirmish nice and early, waiting for the full haymaker, but Zoom's TP'd on in. Wants the damage on ZS as the pop away. Kanavi gets the lasting damage, but now they're on top of Hacker. No kill found. And this is what we love about the LPL, Dagda. Everyone comes mid for the party.
Everyone is here to try and make the play work, but it does mean the actual benefactor of all this is going to be the top lane for ShiauC, but TP into the mid lane, still a lot of folks here, but you can see, right? ZS still collects the wave. You're going to get the reset from Yagao, the TP to match, but ShiauC gets the push in that wave. He'll get his own reset off by a bit of time for himself here too, and it means that for the top laner / mid laner for Ultra Prime. It's a big win.
No.
TP off on the side though.
ShiauC with limited mana wants the dissonance here to give movement speed. Command Protect, and now he's out. Might have an attack in him, but Yagao against the wall. He'll cripple him. Over to Zoom again. And this is what happens, Dagda. Yagao was stuck mid, but he didn't burn the TP.
Yeah, long lane causes pain for the Orianna. And you can see it there. Second, you're sitting there. Zoom gets the engage, and even though you have that distance to try and speed yourself up, any sort of gank just completely ruins it. I'm surprised ShiauC didn't just fully invest his mana pool. Maybe it was cooldowns to just burst that and leave, but bit of a mistake again, and now 2-0 for ShiauC. We said he struggles in the mid lane. This extended lane is only amplifying these overextensions and kind of wave mismanagement that we're seeing from the young mid laner.
And that's what we need to pay attention to, because Zoom is just now the condition that is going to upset Ultra Prime. Imagine if Upset joined Ultra Prime, by the way. It'd be upset. But Zoom is 2-0. He's got a Sheen. He's got a Kindle Gem already. And we can kind of see this coming.
Yeah, I mean, the TP is gorgeous, but again, like, ShiauC needed to just completely burst the wave, not try and get tagged. Sorry, try not to tag Zoom with damage, just invest in actually pushing in the wave. Fortunately, Yagao has that TP. I managed to pick it up. So, as you said now, Divine Thunder very quickly approaching now for Zoom. You have the ability to fully play through these side lanes, and it's not like you're actually able to do much as ZS, right? This Camille does outscale you. She has the ability to play around a lot of your haymaker damage, and you're just in a really bad spot as Ultra Prime now when it comes to side lane pressure.
I just wonder what you do here as Hacker. I mean, he needs 6 first of all, but Kanavi's already 6 himself. He has a lead. We already talked about Zoom in the top side and will continue doing so. And while the gold lead is not massive against Ultra Prime, it's just dealing with the Camille here in this game. Yagao getting busted while Hextech Ultimatum in the top side. Shockwave used, but follow up from Kanavi. They are going to keep killing ShiauC however long this game goes.
I think you got to cut your losses, lads. I think you got to move ShiauC back to the mid, get ZS top. Yep. The dive potential is way too high now that Zoom is ahead, and at least then you can actually have them farm safely and not just pumping gold in towards Zoom. Now, Hacker is going to move down here, get the drag up for himself. The only way I can see Ultra Prime trying to potentially turn this around if they're going to keep ZS in the mid lane is by moving him bot side. Go for these big dives. You got the Haymaker to try and tank the damage. Work with Hacker, who's about to hit 6, and try and get elsewhere this goal back in your favor.
That's right. Make a play on the other side of the map, Dagda. Such a good point, considering that the game is running away through that top side alone. It's an even lane down in the bottom lane. It's mid actually fine here for ZS. And I was all knowing before because Zoom has the wave pushing into it. ShiauC trying to get the full shove here of this wave and a half into turret, but Zoom is zoning.
Oh no.
And it's just so rough right now. You get the sweep down, command attack out, trying to exhaust the mana bar of ShiauC. As the wave crashes in and the next wave approaches, I mean, for ShiauC, he's going to be down 10 CS at least. And we know that this top lane isn't safe as long as Kanavi's on the map as well.
I mean, whatever about the CS, but look at the 2-level lead that Zoom had managed to pick up for himself early. You've got the massive gold lead as well. Like, it's all just a disaster for ShiauC. And unfortunately for ZS, like, he ain't a mid laner, right? He's not used to timings when it comes towards, hey, can I roam here? What's the wave state like? You can see it. He's just sitting in lane farming rather than actually trying to make these moves. And it feels like for JDG, this is exactly where they want Ultra Prime.
As they move up for the Herald as well. What's better than a comp that's already snowballing through mistakes in the top side? Getting Herald in that same lane and giving Camille a longer lane where ShiauC will have to burn Flash on repeat, where he won't be able to come out towards the wave if there's any missed wave management as well. The biggest thing for me is that... Tell me.
I just want to say very quickly, ShiauC is a large portion of this Ultra Prime damage. Like, when you look at these team fights, right? The whole thing kind of relies on Smlz providing utility, having Hacker provide that equalizer, but over the top of this Orianna Shockwave. And when you need to get to 2.5, 3 items as this Orianna to be relevant, that's a long way off when you're 0-3.
At least for now, though, they are listening to your advice and starting to utilize the Sett, who's doing well in lane somewhere else, but JDG's bottom lane pay respect. This is something you and I talked about where Loken, LvMao, if something's going on the other side of the map with Zoom and Kanavi, they won't actually heed the advice. They won't pull back from turret. I'm glad to see this adaptation from JDG, but I'm even more glad to see schoolyard bullying. Dagda doesn't like the look of this. We're all about to experience it firsthand. And ShiauC, here comes hook shot, walk shot, stunned up once again. Shockwave's there. Kanavi waits for it though, and Zoom gets killed, number 3. How easy is that?
Too easy. Way too easy. And look, we talked about it, right? Orianna, she doesn't do well in these side lanes. There's a reason she's a mid laner. It means you can't easily make these plays over and over again. Diving her on this top side. And honestly, Kanavi, yeah, you just stick top side. Just double down on Zoom. Zoom is your carry. Just invest all in Zoom. That's all you need to do, and you win the game.
Man, these scissors are going to have biceps on them in a second. I tell you what, Zoom going to take the first turret top alongside Kanavi. Response here from Ultra Prime is sending Hacker down, but turret's already gone. JDG up 3,000 gold at 10 minutes. Screw the dragon, it doesn't matter. Zoom is going to have his first item. I believe it's going to be the Divine Sunderer coming through here, as yes, it looks like it. And Dagda, I want to come back to your point and how you talked about this comp, and you mentioned the team fighting, you mentioned the source of damage that is the Orianna. She needs time, and I think doubling down here for JDG is a smart move, considering that Orianna's going to take so much time to get in and actually add something with shockwaves. The other damage profiles as well, it's not like their team fight in the 5v5 is going to be better while even Zoom exists, or even if they get the team fight off, I should say. What are you losing on the side lane with Zoom's ability to push turrets this quick?
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's a couple of different factors that now absolutely suck for ShiauC, right? So obviously you want to try and get towards your Leandri's Anguish or Tempest, and also have your Archangel Staff finished. But he's had to teeter in towards the armor, or the Seeker's Arm Guard, which means that's already delayed. Now you add in the fact that he's, 87 CS, 0-4, like, the relevancy of this Orianna has been pushed back, honestly, to about the 30 to 35 minute mark. And when you look towards Zoom, who's been vastly accelerated, he can continue to go for these dives. It's very easy to one-shot this Orianna, where you just dive underneath the tower, you can dodge away from the shockwave thanks to the ultimate, the X-Tech ultimatum, and you just play through that, right? And then the rest of JDG can just fight the 4v4 elsewhere. And if you ever leave Zoom on the top side, he destroys these turrets. So for ShiauC, this is now just the complete loss condition for Ultra Prime.
I just love the deep control ward. It's all the way in the enemy jungle to see if he's going to get dove at the tier 2. As Dragon spawns now as well. Good ward here from Ultra Prime in the river to at least see this coming. But with Zoom having teleport, that is going to be the difference maker. He's even moved towards the mid lane. 3-0 Camille, not to be trifled with. So good pressure across the map from JDG. That'll net them this dragon. And Dagda, a good game 1 start, I should say, as well. It feels like Zoom on a favored pick of Camille is a great way to really kick things off, considering that I feel like Zoom hasn't been on full comfort. No. And ShiauC, this is what we're talking about. Long lane in the top lane. Shockwave use, but it brings him closer for a hug. ShiauC might not die, but that's the pressure from this Camille with a level and a half lead.
Yeah, you can see how smart Zoom is playing around this though, right? He knows he has this big advantage. He didn't want to use the Hextech ultimatum there because was worried about ShiauC about flashing underneath tower and kind of being stuck there with this Orianna, especially with the slows that come out from Dissonance. But he's already just getting all this ultimate out, creating more pressure on this top side, and Hacker has to position himself up here. And ZS actually looks like he's going to move up as well, potentially 3 people now on this top side to deal with Zoom. But I don't understand why they just haven't taken ShiauC out of this matchup. Just put ZS top, just cut your losses, and say, right, this plan didn't work, but by leaving Orianna as the side lane split pusher, you're just giving more pressure towards Zoom and more control to JDG.
You know what I think they've said? They've said, we probably should have taken her out, like 0-1, maybe 0-2. Now that it's 0-4, she's not worth anything. She can try and get what she can while Zoom's just doing this flash over the wall. Instant respect to Zoom. Yagao was coming up as well, and this is rough.
This is like, ShiauC got caught with a pack of cigarettes, and now they're making him smoke the whole thing. He's just a top laner that's just, he wanted to try it out. He wanted to be like the cool kids where he can play multiple different roles. And now it's just been like, this isn't pretty for anyone to watch. He's coughing, he's spluttering, he's dead, and Ultra Prime are just like, no, you did this to yourself. You said you wanted to go top lane. You said you wanted to be cool. Well, this is what cool gets you.
Oh my god, you're going to be a rough parent. And besides, Dagda, it's 2021. No one smokes cigarettes anymore. It's all about vaping now, okay? So,
sorry.
Just pull back on that,
not
all right?
vape Naish cool, you know?
No. A bit of a boomer moment. I had to pull you back on that one. I hope we don't get in trouble for that. But Dagda, let's move forward into a point you pulled out before we see the next dragon, before we see the next play. I love you talking about the dive onto ShiauC and many other members of Ultra Prime. I want to point out that JDG have 4 members who can dive. So if Yagao goes into Fog of War, then ShiauC has to pull back. If Kanavi does the same, then he has to pull back. If LvMao is roaming, the same can be said. There's always something that will deal with this Orianna, which is why the Zhonya's Hourglass has been picked up first. A smart itemization from ShiauC, but still, it's going to require a lot more than that for him to get into the game and him to survive the continuous dive that I mentioned from JDG.
But again, like, the delay that this puts on his other items is insane, right? Because you're not working towards your mythic. Like, what do you do here? Because you've now got a tier that's kind of just sitting there. Do you go towards the Archangel Staff? Because at 360 mana, that then becomes a relevant stat. Or are you then just looking to go, right, we actually go straight towards the Liandry's Anguish, try and keep ourselves in shape? But, like, this Zhonya's Hourglass is like a delay button. It's like, cool, they're not going to kill me right now. They're going to kill me in 3 to 4 seconds time, or when the next wave arrives.
Trying to delay time then, at least for now, with the Equalizer coming through mid. That's what the rest of Ultra Prime are doing, grouping up as 4. This Herald won't get the final charge that's needed to secure the outer turret. But remember, JDG still ahead in tempo in this game. 3,000 gold on that as well. And with every lane benefiting off the fact that more members are required for people like Zoom when he starts roaming. If Yagao, again, goes into that Sett Fog of War and they don't know where JDG are, then even Loken's lane will start benefiting here as Zoom's back on in. On the ShiauC, slowed down, Hextech Ultimatum, Hackers here, and the Zhonya's delay button, Dagda, might actually give another member. But Zoom's jumping back in, Shockwave there as well. Zed's doing damage, dunking him down, and Hacker picks up the kill. The Zhonya's, Dagda, maybe a good investment.
Hey, it comes out there, right? They get the kill. It does mean ZS has to burn his TP, Hacker's put in position top, and while that's going on, Loken is able to take that bottom lane turret, so you're still getting structures for JDG, and with this mid lane turret not being long for the world as well, now we're starting to creep back as Ultra Prime are forced away from these objectives, and with 30 seconds until the next dragon is up, they need to try and get some sort of control. They need to find an opportunity to fight as a 5-man unit, and not just let Zoom run away with this pressure.
I think they have to clear out the vision that JDG put when Loken was able to push the turret, when Zoom started walking down. They need to clear away some of the vision towards Dragon, and they've started on that. A couple of control wards in the defensive side. Kanavi just getting scuttled, but he'll move down because 10 seconds on that timer. Important to know as well that through mid and towards the start of River, JDG still hold vision control, and specifically around the objective here, Dagda. So Dragon will be started, and you can see Hacker's like, nah, forget it. I'm going to leave it. He's towards mid right now and won't be there to contest.
Yeah, it is second Dragon, so not going to fully invest in it, but you're still looking at Zoom pushing bot side, Yagao having control top, and honestly, with how far behind ShiauC is, well, he's not really going to be able to contest against Yagao, has that Gore Drink completed, working towards that Black Cleaver as well, so Ultra Prime struggling at side lanes, gives the opportunity now for the poke from Loken to start to push in, start to try and chip away at this turret in the mid lane.
Hopefully Loken can get towards that second item. Manamune almost complete here on the lethality. Varus has the Prowler's Claw. And if anyone hasn't been watching any Varus in the LPL, we've seen really innovative ways of getting the ulti off, using the minion wave, kiting through, and just punishing anyone from overstepping with that Chains of Corruption. So keep an eye out for Loken here as he now has that item secured, especially around the mid lane, as his poke is going to be comparable to someone like Smlz. Dagda, they've stemmed the bleeding though. That's the biggest thing here. It's 4,000 gold, sure, but bleeding still stemmed in my opinion, because Hacker is level 11. Okay, he's behind 2 levels. I'm trying to be positive here. You know, if you're bleeding out the floor, you got 5 wounds. It's nice when one of them's sealed up. So, Chains of Corruption here, and oh no, maybe spoke too soon. It's the hospital, and we're calling it for the actual right person. Zoom jumps on in, but he's taking a lot of damage. Fed members down. This is good for Ultra Prime as the curtain call lashes out. Re-engage from LvMao. Shockwave only onto one target as LvMao goes gold, but ZS re-engaging. Low health bars though. Loken wasn't able to finish anyone off. Kanavi angling around, but for Ultra Prime, you've killed Zoom not once, but twice.
Yeah, I mean, a nice kind of shutdown gold as well, going over in favor of Ultra Prime, but they do lose that mid lane turret. And although you're kind of saying, hey, look, you know, some of these sutures are starting to work, they're starting to stem the bleeding, you still got to look at, like, the timing we're at, because we don't have Baron up, we don't have a Dragon up. They are still able to put enough pressure to get that mid lane turret as Yagao.
Just walking blindly in, Sett, not going to chase. Close call. I mean, Yagao, it is a Lee Sin, so you can be a bit more ambitious, but manages to survive. As we'll look at this again, because it was a dive before the turret actually went down.
Yeah, and you can see ShiauC is trying to keep them off the turret. I think at that stage he kind of gifted, but does end up baiting Zoom in incredibly far, which gives the kill over towards Hacker. And here, I actually thought we'd get the instant ult from ZS. Go for the showstopper, prevent the kick from Yagao, and even get the follow-up after where you get that stasis ending for LvMao, but decide not to go for it. They'll just take the pick, but it's still a 5,000 gold lead going over in favor of JDG, and you are still losing your entire jungle to Kanavi. Because Zoom has had so much control of this side lane, Kanavi's just been playing towards him, going like, cool, I get 3 quadrants of the jungle, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, next on to the Gromp. Look at the CS difference in jungle. When you're speaking about that matchup, Dagda, I mean, Kanavi's about to hit level 14. This guy is on a tear, and while every single lane has kind of been suffering due to the fact that top lane started moving, due to the fact that jungle had to cover for that lane, we can see that Ultra Prime losing in a bit of CS across the board, bar that bottom lane. I'll also say top lane's 10 CS ahead. ShiauC just wants to be relevant, and that makes a lot of sense. But bringing back to the jungle, I mean, Kanavi's been farming while his lanes have been fine. It's just a difference of laners here, and in solo queue, you'd say jungle diff, but it's really not. It's definitely lane diff, and the allocations we saw from Ultra Prime. So let's see how they move into this mid game now with Dragons starting to be more heavily contested, especially since JDG are 1 away from moving to Infernal Soul. Point.
Yeah, and look, this is...
Oh no. Loken needs LvMao. He should be fine here. Walks in a straight line. LvMao tanks it up, but that was flash burn. Loken just too far forward.
Yeah. Like, this is what we're talking about for JDG, right? Every so often they just get caught out in weird spots. Now, they're doing a pretty good job of, like, playing through Zoom, but we've seen too many times before where JDG end up with these advantages and then throw them away because of mistakes like this. So, especially for Loken, needs to play a little bit safer. You do have the Alistar there who can set up super well alongside Smlz for a lot of these engagements when you're in this 3-man group, because Yagao and Zoom are off on the sides.
Yagao sitting up in top for now, just trying to get this wave pushed out. Actually looking for Hacker. Tempest comes through, but Hacker not going to be slowed down or hit at all. So there is still a lot of power here on Yagao on his Lee Sin, who's 30 CS over now, just about. And 230 CS at 22 minutes. Interestingly, he doesn't really have a bounty, but hey, Loken does, 240. Not too bad himself. He's now picked up his second item as well as TP's deep. And LvMao won't be able to get in range, doesn't have his flash available. Yagao burns a TP 10 seconds before Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of got the play though here, right? You're able to get control of that topside jungle. You're giving avenues for Zoom to find these flanks. And for Ultra Prime, who want to play this front to back style, having Zoom terrorize their backline is the worst possible thing.
LvMao trying to go in. You talk about Zoom's angling here. He's right in front. Chains of Corruption was used on the left side of our screen by Loken as well. Couple of tools now being down as Loken on the back end here, doing a bit of damage to ZS. Yagao wants the angle himself. Does he take the Lee Syndrome here? Sonic Wave Resonate Strike not there, but into the back line. Now it's up to ZS, but he's blown apart. Equalize doesn't matter. Yagao sets up with a mighty kick. Beautiful stuff as Kanavi receives him with the Moonfall. Asking you shall receive as JDG bring it right back.
That was beautiful from Yagao. The flash kick to set up the entirety of Ultra Prime being locked up in that Moonfall was gorgeous. And now JDG will turn their attention towards the Baron as Yagao solos out the Dragon.
It's just beautiful when Lee Sin's in the meta. I don't care if it's jungle or lane. When you find Lee Sins that are good, which honestly, a lot of LPL Lee Sins aren't too bad. And the setup for multi-man ultis. Dragon Baron, JDG, look, they weren't really out of control, but that feels like it seals the deal.
I mean, that fight was picture perfect and kind of adding more depth to the scoreboard for Ultra Prime, who were already kind of set behind. I mean, you look at it here, right? They just pick off ZS, who gets hooked up by LvMao, and there you go. Absolutely perfect. The damage is far too much, and what I was kind of looking to see from these fights coming through from Ultra Prime was like Smlz being able to set up from a safe distance with the curtain call, but unfortunately, because they'd had to gift over so much of that vision control with that TP coming through from Yagao earlier on, they just don't have the ability to have Smlz set up and take pop shots from afar. They don't know where the members of JDG are, and JDG punish as a result.
You know, that play was much like in life. You're looking for the perfect man or woman, right? And they're only going to come across once, twice, you know, maybe 3 times in your life, and you have to be decisive. Yagao, you know, he found that perfect match there. He found the perfect play, and Kanavi rolled in with him. Good equalizer here, though, from Ultra Prime. They're trying to make a move as Yagao onto the back end as well. Sonic Wave doesn't connect this time around, but he is a big threat as LvMao into the back end. We get the Crescent Strike as well. Yagao still on the wing while Sett's into the middle. Ultra Prime trying their hardest, but the Zoom TP's in. You know that the fight's already over before it's begun. Under turret, Zoom gonna go golden as into the back line. Kanavi's getting reset after reset. It's one member to another. It's a quadra kill. ShiauC in all chat we're typing give it as LvMao wants to stop him.
He's looking for him, he's searching, ShiauC's there, but they're just trying to stop the recalls. They're just going to go for the end.
Give Penta, well, I mean, it's earned, not given, but at the end of the day, Kanavi definitely earned it. Those resets, that was
one
sick.
Kill.
And
the one kill ShiauC doesn't give over.
And LvMao's going to pick it up in the end. Game 1 done and dusted, 25 minutes, and JDG put on a show towards the end, Dagda.
I mean, yeah, definitely at the end, it looks really, really clean from JDG. It looks super sloppy from Ultra Prime for the rest of that game, though. Like, that top lane Orianna did not work out. No pressure. ShiauC dies level 1. And from that, you got this gaping hole that JDG just played through. So, from Ultra Prime's perspective, not ready to play.
I was going to say, Dagda, like, you know, the top lane, the Orianna lane swap. The problem is, it's like, yeah, Sett against Lee Sin, contested matchup.
Yeah.
Orianna versus anyone who can gap close, and especially when, like, we're looking at Camille. Oh, that's just rough, man. She had Ignite too. What do you do?
But I didn't really get it. Like, even if you get to level 6, say that level 1 doesn't happen, right? You get to level 6, they just dive you. Like, you've got the reset there with the ultimate. Like, you've so much pressure to play through that top side. Even look towards things like Rift Heralds you can't contest because Orianna just gets dove on through the bushes. Like, there was just no real world where I saw this Orianna top side working out. And even if we're in the middle of explaining why it's not going to work out, ShiauC dies.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, 0-5, 0-6 in the end, I'm not too sure. Was a rough game for him, but I mean, I think we look at how Ultra Prime decided to play that. And, you know, again, the lane swap was the beginning of the end. But I'm really excited. We got towards those team fights where Ultra Prime were getting picks onto Zoom. Zoom was going too far forward. That JDG mid game was coming into question again. But that was the old JDG we saw towards the end, Dagda. The JDG that were decisive, that were, you know, those partial teamfight kings, the skirmishing kings at one point as well, was such a great 5v5. And we saw that coordination again, the coordination that has been missing in a lot of their recent games.
Yeah, and I know someone that you've been talking about a little bit, Hysterics as well, is Yagao in that mid lane, who definitely stepped up on this Lee Sin pick. I think he did look really, really strong. Unfortunate laning phase, simply because he took magic resist runes against a Sett, thinking he's in the Orianna matchup. That's not going to go well, but certainly brought it back at the later stages, looked absolutely splendid, and was linking up with Kanavi super well. So I think definitely a lot of praise given towards Yagao Kanavi in these fights as well, doing Kanavi things. It really did just feel like JDG had the run of the mill this game and they got to have a party.
It's funny because I think we look back at this and, like, I'd probably give Yagao MVP, but then I'd think a second time and go, well, Yagao was always in the right place at the right time. Yagao controlled that lead. Kanavi did, excuse me. Kanavi had some great ultis, but more importantly, Kanavi just through jungle, he optimized his time so well. Really efficient pathing. You and I talked about at the start, it was like, well, when no lanes are really suffering, Kanavi gets to farm and he gets to invade. So a really nice start here from what was once the king of the jungler, Dagda. But hey, break time. We're going to go to a short commercial. When we return, see if Game 2 Ultra Prime have something to say, or if JDG are going to play like that again.